This is a Lip Media podcast.
Oh, hello, Lamely. Welcome to Chapter 3 of Me, I Am a Memoir, the meaning of Mariah Carey. This is Fab, the fabulous Adam Richard, and joining me, as always, is Posh, Phillip Lee Curtis. How are you, delicious?
Hello, darling. I'm fantastic. How are you?
I should point out, you were confused this week when I just... decided to start calling these episodes chapters.
Yes.
I don't mean the chapter from the book. It's the chapter of our memoir of Mariah's memoir.
Yes. I do love that I sent that email off going, what should we do with it? Because it is a little confusing. Mariah's like, I'm not going to be conventional. I'm going to just not put any numbers. There's parts and there's chapters within the parts.
Yeah.
But
some of them are long, some of them are short, some of them are paragraphs.
But no, that's good for me. And we do state which of Mariah's chapters we cover anyway. But yes, that is nice.
Well,
to
they
clarify.
don't have numbers. So I thought we should have our own numbers.
Yep.
And also, so if you think of our chapters as just episode number.
Yeah. Even though we've got like 8 bonus episodes.
Well, they're all prefaces.
They are all prefaces.
They're all sanded back prefaces. All right, well, shall we launch into it with today's Me moments?
Me moments. Now, a fabulous FedEx driver has been delivering his festive package, what I'm thinking all over America, while blasting All I Want for Christmas Is You. Now, Mariah has decided that this is the only way to deliver anything ever again. So you simply
Either way, festive package was my nickname in high school.
Oh, yeah. We love a delivery of a festive package. Mariah has also tweeted about The Crown mere hours after I started watching the first season, which honestly...
I can't believe you'd never watched it before.
I'd thought about it. You know, it takes me a while, but I just thought, no, I needed, like my soul, my spirit knew I needed to wait until the day Mariah had an unboxing of The Crown.
You know, Mariah's love of The Crown is responsible for one of my favourite photos of all time that I will add to anything at any time whatsoever. She bumped into Matt Smith, who plays Prince Philip, used to play Doctor Who.
Yes.
Who, I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. I do have my other Doctor Who podcast, Adam Richard Has a Theory. So there is a photo of Mariah with Matt Smith, and I think he was going out with Lily James at the time, but I always crop her out. I think Mariah's with someone as well. So I've just got Mariah and Doctor Who, and I like to imagine that she was in a special episode of Doctor Who. I
would die. Can you imagine? And she has to play every character.
She saves Christmas. It's like when Kylie was in Doctor Who and she saved Christmas.
While on the Titanic. There's a lot going on
Spaceship
there.
Titanic, not the normal one.
Now, speaking of Kylie, actually, another thing that Kylie has done that Mariah is about to do is a Zane Lowe interview.
Zane Lowe, is he still a thing?
Yes, apparently. So this has been happening recently. He did a Lady Gaga interview that I've not seen yet, but I would like to watch it, and I have been told it's quite good. Then he did one with Kylie only a couple of weeks ago, and she's notoriously private. Doesn't open up much, but his style of interview kind of brings it out, and it's quite
He's kind of chatty, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's done his research, which many don't. So I think it will actually be quite an interesting little tidbit from Mariah, an extra Mimi moment, and we might have to do a bonus ep.
Bonus moment.
But in our lead story... Apple TV, Mariah Carey's magical Christmas special will be dropping on the 4th of December. We have a date. We have a list of... Now, we have celebrity guests, including Tiffany Haddish. I can't talk today.
No, you're too excited. I'm excited.
I know, it's all coming out. Billy Eichner, Snoop, Jermaine, Misty Copeland, the Peanuts Gang. There's even rumours that Dem Babies may be making a little appearance. But I think the biggest news is that Ariana Grande and J-Hud will be singing a new version of Oh Santa that will apparently be released out there because Mariah really wants that 20th number one. She's like, I'm snatching it. I want it. So how are we feeling? What do we think? Are the Peanuts gang, are they going to be the puppets? Is there going to be a Miss Piggy surprise? Which sounds really...
I don't know. The Peanuts gang.
A Miss Piggy surprise sounds something real good.
Miss Piggy surprise was my other nickname in high school. No. Because, you know, she did do that Merry Christmas Charlie Brown song on Merry Christmas to You. Mm-hmm. And I do love Oh Santa. It's one of my favourite songs.
I can't do it. I nearly did it. I can't do it.
Oh Santa.
Well, I love that it's shared. Oh Santa.
Oh Santa is the crux of possibly the greatest directorial debut of all time. The Christmas movie with Claudia from Party of Five.
I might have to watch that again this Christmas.
Oh, it's so much fun. No, this Christmas is all about the Mariah Carey Apple TV
true.
Plus special.
My main Christmas movie, just to interject, is the Olivia Newton-John A Mum for Christmas, which I now think Mariah should remake and direct.
One of my favourite Christmas movies is called P.S. Always Remember I Love You.
Really? Is that seriously the name of it?
Seriously the name of it. It stars Patty Duke. And she only one Patty Duke, not like in the Patty Duke show where she played her own cousin in the back of her own head. Patty Duke, her baby is stolen from the front yard.
Obviously.
I know, very sad. And then 20 years later, or maybe 16 years later, when a lawyer's office is raided, Stephen Dorff, then a teenager, finds out that he has been stolen as a baby. So Joan Van Ark from Knots Landing is not really his mother.
Oh my God.
So he goes back to find Patty Duke, his actual birth mother, doesn't tell her who he is, and ends up, spending the Christmas with him because they find him asleep in the barn. He's going to die of hypothermia. Anyway, he spends a Christmas with them. He has a fight with their son. It's all very fractious. And then he decides to eventually go back to his stolen adoptive mother. And writes a letter that says, always remember I love you.
P.S.
Christmas Day. Anyway, that's my favourite Christmas movie. That was a roller coaster, wasn't it?
It was a lot to take on.
I know. I could have just said, it's got Patty Duke and Stephen Dorff. It's a tearjerker, and we would have been fine. But no, I had to do the whole story. Yeah. And Joan Van Ark. And David Burney is the dad.
Oh my God. See, my head's still in a Mariah for Christmas. I'm already marinating it in the back of my head.
A Mariah for Christmas. That was a thing this week. I saw that Mariah's duet with Olivia kind of resurfaced for some bizarre reason.
Just cause.
I mean, it's on Mariah Carey All Around the World on the DVD. So, yeah, it's not like it's hidden.
She just put it out as a surprise MC30. Like, took it away for a minute and put it back.
Yeah,
now it's new.
I was meant to go to that concert, but she had a sore throat and cancelled. And because the first one she sold is 98. Was it 98? So it was her first concert ever in Australia. The first one she sold ended up being the second show.
Oh,
so the second concert on sale was the day before.
Sure. Yeah,
and she cancelled the second show.
Right.
Which was the one that everyone bought tickets to first.
Oh, no.
It was devastating.
Imagine.
Anyway, I didn't get to go to see her until like the year 2000, I don't think.
That's years later.
Like decades.
Literally, millennia. It's a whole millennia later. Now, did you get to see the little short video clip on Twitter and probably the other socials of Mariah Carey's Magical Christmas special that shows Mariah?
No, I've only ever seen her re-Instagramming everyone else's stories her story.
So within that, Ariana and Jay Hudd and everyone was sharing a little clip, and there is like a glimpse of, I think it's Mariah, because when I first saw it, I thought, oh, that's a surprise guest wearing a Mariah Carey mask. And then I thought, hang on, is it just that she's got an extra festive wig on that is a little bigger than I'm used to?
Pulling her head back.
But there's something that made me go, what's going on? Like,
I don't think she's had
and then
any
I was
work
like,
done.
no.
I think she's
No,
just
no.
wearing an
It's
extra
still-
layer of slap.
It's still her face. It's the hair that's throwing me. It looks like a big helmet. And maybe that's what she's got. Maybe she's like, I need extra big hair. It's festive. It's Christmas. But because
Well, it is
of that,
Christmas.
I thought
it's when
it was...
you go to the ATM. So
Yes, it is. And it does need a wig. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's not even Mariah. Maybe it's the ATM with a wig.
Yeah, maybe that's the Mariah that her ex-brother and ex-sister see.
Oh, yes. Perfect. Well, that's all sorted. I think we're ready for a recap. How about a recap? A recap. Would you like a recap?
All right. So let's recap last week. We had There Can Be Miracles, where Morgan was the worst babysitter. And after a violent episode, Mariah realised she was a miracle. And we also had When Christmas Comes, where gay uncles gave Mariah the gift of Camp Christmas, and then Mariah gave all of us the gift of a Camp Christmas classic.
Yes, and herself, let's face it.
Well, you know.
She is the gift.
So that's our recap.
And what about this week? What are we expecting? Give us the gist. The gist.
All right, well, I'm covered in gist this week. We're only doing one section, which is where Mariah explains her relationship with her father on a succession of Sundays through her song lyrics and a Ritz cracker.
That was my nickname in high school.
Well, I think that means it's time to break it on down, doesn't
Break
it?
it on down. Break me on down. I should point out that last week there was a little confusion of the name because we actually have two chapters with very similar names. So the one we're covering is The Father and the Son.
Yes.
But later there is a chapter called The Father and the Sunset.
Oh,
and this is where the
see.
confusion happened. I was having a Mariah moment. It was like math, but in word form.
Yes.
And things got a little lost. But yes, I just wanted to correct myself for the Lamley. Because they'll come for me.
Well, we're not up to that yet. We're not reading ahead.
No, exactly.
Well,
we
you
didn't know.
have, obviously.
No, I don't remember how it came up, but she kept saying
You've got the
sunset.
list of the words.
But yes, that's true. I do. I have the all
Important.
a powerful, yes, important list.
Your PowerPoint demonstration of which chapter title is which.
It's a notes dot text edit.
Can I start breaking me on down?
You want to bring it down?
Well, I'm
That's
bringing
sad.
myself down. I'm going to start at the end. I know this is controversial because the final paragraph, it's only 2 sentences of this chapter, is beautiful.
Okay.
It is a beautifully written piece because it is, as we said, it's the father and the son. And she's talking about all the Sundays they spend together. And she talks about him becoming useless. And she says, gradually, next Sunday turned into a month of Sundays. I had to let go of our Sundays so I could manifest my own day in the sun. That is beautiful. That's poetic. Like, it's just... I mean, a lot happens in this chapter, but I just was blown away by that gorgeous little turn of phrase. I'm like, that's right. She writes lyrics for songs. She knows how to do the poetry.
Yes. I almost now wish that there really was a Mariah Day. Like, we're going to have an 8th day of the week. It's called Mariah Day.
We just have Mariah Mondays, unfortunately.
That's true.
It's
Mariah
a combo day.
I mean, every day's Mariah Day for us anyway.
It is, for us. Yes.
Right. Are we okay now to return to the beginning of the chapter? It's like an episode of NCIS where they show the end.
Oh, yeah, then in black and white.
Yeah.
How do we get to that?
I don't know.
It was such, because it left a smile on my face. I just had this glowing moment of, oh, that's beautiful. That's beautifully done. Like, really nice.
You were in a glow of Mariah gist.
I was. I mean, I've always appreciated her writing, but that was just a step above.
Well, this is the thing. So the thing I noticed this week with the song lyrics that she uses, because she does use quite a few in this chapter.
There are a lot, yes.
She does sing them throughout this chapter.
All of them?
All of them.
I can't wait.
Every last one. And it's
Even
all
the
very...
silly songs in the car.
Oh, yeah. Especially the silly songs in the car. And it is very live. It just happens, even if there's a little bit of husk or something in the voice. It is all happening then and there.
So she's singing both Bye Bye and Flowers for Alfred, Sunflowers for Alfred. Right? That's the other thing, the sunflower, like the constant reference to sun.
Yes.
With Sunday, sunflowers, my day, and it's just.
And of course, sunflowers do go toward the sun.
Yes.
So the thing with the lyrics, though, is, as we mentioned last week, Mariah wanted to read some of the lyrics rather than sing because she felt that they hit harder. And I will say, I do think she's right, because when you hear her singing them, you just get excited that she's singing. Yep. It's like, oh my God. But then when I read the chapter, I was like, oh, hang on. Okay. Yeah. Let's read the lyrics, because I think what happens with Mariah songs, there's a lot of melody, so you just kind of get caught up in it. And it's not that you don't notice the lyrics, but it's more of an overall experience. But when you actually read them as they are, you start going, oh, Bye Bye, it's about her dad.
Yeah. I mean, it's about a lot of dead people.
It's her Halloween song.
Sunflowers for Alfred Roy is like one of my favourite songs. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful song. And I like Bye Bye, but it feels like it's personal in a chunk of it, and then tries to be very general in that One Sweet Day way. So it's like, here's my personal tragedy, and now here's a place where you can overlay your own personal tragedy if you need to.
Oh, she's so giving.
Like, how One Sweet Day is just like, I don't know what things were like in your life at that time, but I went to about 7 funerals where they played that.
Really?
In the space of about 4 years.
I was 5, so no, my funerals didn't start till I was 7.
No, I was in my 20s, and a lot of my friends were having heroin overdoses. It was either that or Wonderwall by Oasis.
Oh, God.
Just
that song will make you cry, even if you don't know what the lyrics are.
I don't know what the lyrics mean. It's just torturous. But yeah, I feel like the song actually about her dad, with his name in the title, feels more kind of raw and painful. And maybe that's why she sang them instead of reading them, because the lyrics are still kind of, she feels it a bit much, and singing it means, I don't have to engage with the lyrics that much because I am going off into melody world.
Yeah.
Maybe, but yeah.
There is... Oh, no, there's more to come on Mariah's little fantasy melody land.
Oh, okay.
Just a little note that I have. Now, yes, we did mention that this chapter is about her dad being like a sunflower, but we also get to meet a few other people, like his mother, Addie.
Oh, don't even.
Only had... she's already primed for a section at the end. Now, the thing that stood out to me about this, her introduction to Addie, is that Alfred was a little embarrassed that his mother only had a 3rd grade education. Now, I have to say, honestly, I think that's where I should have stopped. Because after sort of grade 3 or 4, things went to hell. I learned everything I needed to know, because by the time, I had my multiplication tables, but once we got to fractions, I had no fucking idea what was going on. And I never learned, so I don't need it. And I haven't needed it. Even as a graphic designer, I'm like, oh yeah, I get what a quarter is. Cool.
Well, you don't need it, because when have you ever eaten half a pizza?
Oh, exactly. No, do you know, it's really devastating. I am these days. I'm getting mentally more healthy, and so I don't need to eat the entire pizza and a garlic pizza on the side. So I actually can do half a pizza now. It's devastating.
I don't know.
I have leftovers. When I get takeaway, I have leftovers now.
I don't know her. You have what?
Leftovers, I know.
I don't know her.
Leftovers.
I don't know leftovers. I don't know her.
Now, can we also just... things are about to get quite serious, because the early paragraphs of this chapter contain some of the most serious things that we've come across so far, including a very casual... It didn't seem as casual in text, but in the audiobook it seemed awfully casual that Alfred Roy's uncle murdered his other uncle.
Oh, yeah.
And it was very much and that happened.
that and it was like, you're right, like it does read just like, oh yeah, his family were bad. And you kind of, because we've started with him being violent, to then get to this and go, oh, so his violence is kind of like the least it could possibly be, almost.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
you know, where this is someone who has learned a terrible experiences from a terrible life. Like, it's also his experiences in the army are very, very horrific. You know, racism piled on top of racism. It's as well as just like angry men with weapons. And the implication that he was going to get up on a hill with a gun and then Mariah's note of, and not commit suicide. You're like, whoa.
Yeah, that's probably the thing that was the most very brief, but also quite shocking. I was like, not only are we kind of left to assume what he was thinking, but for Mariah to know that he's obviously shared that thought, which is slightly terrifying.
Or she's overheard it at some point, him talking to someone about it.
And of course, you know, we don't like to drag things down too much in this podcast, but the accusation of raping a white woman, there is no winners in that scenario. Like, it is tragic.
I've read
the
To Kill a
whole way
Mockingbird.
through.
It's horrific. That's my, like, ever since To Kill a Mockingbird, it seems like every time that there is an accusation of rape against a black man from a white woman, it's like, oh, well, what they needed was Atticus Finch to fix it.
Absolutely. And this is the thing. The whole thing is tragic. No matter what, you know, the woman's assault was tragic. His the assumption of his guilt, and then what happened next with
His
him
treatment.
And what? I can't even quite fathom any of it without a degree.
Yeah, it's all very horrific, and you know, neither of us have been through that kind of experience. But I guess that's part of this memoir of Mariah's is, you know, her saying to us, you know, what is beneath the surface of Mariah, and it does seem like a lot of surface sometimes. Like, you know,
Sure,
like it is a highly polished surface.
Oh yes,
and it's
Buffed
almost
to
like her
perfection.
going, yeah. You open this cupboard, a whole lot of pots and pans are going to fall out.
Nothing frustrates me more than a disorganized cupboard, I have to say.
Oh, that was the other thing that freaked me out. His cupboard. Like, the description of, you know, how ordered his cupboard was.
Yeah.
Like, military precision in the pantry. I was like, whoa, this is... And, of course, the infamous Ritz crackers that lived in the pantry. I am so into those Ritz crackers. It's like... Reading about eating one Ritz cracker slowly, I'm like, yeah, I don't
This
get
is my kink.
This is for someone that just had lunch dessert. I can't understand one Ritz cracker.
Well, the whole thing of Alfred Roy's, you know, snacking is frivolous mentality is very against my religion. But I did think the allowance of one Ritz cracker. Do you think that's why Mariah, in that chip ad, took such a tiny little bite of the chip? Because we all assumed it was just Mariah being funny. But I'm wondering if it's a throwback to like, well, I've got to really savor this. And she's not told anyone. She's like, they'll get it when the memoir comes out. And we have gotten it, Mariah. We have got it.
I thought maybe it was, I don't know if you've ever filmed anything, but that may have been her 87th chip of the day. And it's like, I can't eat a whole chip.
That's awesome. No.
Like, I've done so many takes of the chip eating. I'm just going to nibble it.
She just brought one chip for the shoot. That's it. It's Mariah costs so much.
We can't afford any prop chips.
Now, of course, Mariah, one of my favourite little bits, quotes is, ironically, the slogan on the box was, there's only one Ritz. And for me, there really was.
I know.
And I just thought, comedian Raya. That's what we're getting. It's all comedy all the time.
I hope she has like a whole stand-up set during her Vegas act. Like,
Ba-dum-bum. Now, it does concern me a little bit because from what she's saying, it sounds like Mariah was never fed. So I'm wondering if these fantasies and journeys to Melody Land and all of this and the excitement over Christmas and just kind of making shit up is because she's got low blood sugar.
Oh, yeah. Well, the talking about, her mum's feeding at her mum's house being haphazard.
Yeah.
Like, so meaning, like, when she wanted that Ritz cracker, like, she may not have eaten for, like, a full 24 hours.
Yeah.
Unless she meant at her mum's was haphazard because Morgan was babysitting the night before.
Oh, God, mate.
While mum was off at the opera.
I do love that throughout the chapter there are a few mentions of Patricia, but it's very much like, oh, yeah, she was there.
She was there. And you know what else I found fascinating in this chapter is that we get a little touch of Alison, who
just a smidge.
We have barely met through this book so far. It's been a lot of Morgan. Morgan. But Alison, we find out that she was a pregnant teenager.
Yes.
And that kind of expectation was being weighed on Mariah's shoulders. Like, don't be like your sister. She has disappointed me. Not that there's anything wrong with being, a teenage mum. Like, some people are quite successful at it. My younger cousin, by the age of 40, was a grandmother, and she is quite good at it. Yeah. But yeah, there's the scene where Alison makes Mariah sing White Rabbit in front of everyone at 1 o'clock in the morning that I found confronting. I mean, because, Mariah now knows what those lyrics mean and is like, what were they making me do? Yeah. But B, and I'm loath to tell this story because she's a client of yours, but one night...
Oh, no, I know what's coming.
One night I
have nothing to do with this, darling. It's all Adam.
She hates me telling this story, so I'm telling it.
So you have to tell it.
One night I was at Em Rusciano's house, and she was having her gays.
Is the tarp down? The tarp.
Put the tarp down. So Creasy was there. All of her gays were there. Like a whole. Like it was just like a lot of gay men.
I was gonna do the I don't know her, but I thought
No, you do know Em. You work for her.
I know Em. Yeah, I do know Em. I may not know some of the other guests.
Oh, okay, cool. No, I knew where you were going. So Em woke her daughter up at like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Like, poor Marcella. Like, and she would have been like, I don't know, 11, 12. I don't know how old she was. And she woke up Marcella and then made her play the piano while Em sang for us. Someone Like You by Adele.
Well, if you're going to do it right. Was she in a full-length gown?
No, it was a barbecue.
But what else would
midriff.
I was going to say, what else would Em wear to a barbecue other than a ball gown?
No, I know. It was very Em. And I kept saying, she's like, you got to tell people about it. You can't tell anyone about this. I was like, it twirled up. Because I just imagined like Postcards from the Edge in 30 years. I did not. It twirled up. Just imagine. I'm fully into Shirley MacLaine.
Never a bad thing.
Postcards from the Edge. So yeah, that was all that went through my head when I read that section. I was like,
see, what went through my head was Mariah thought she'd been booked. She's like, it wasn't, I've been dragged out of bed. It's, I was booked as the entertainment that night. I got paid.
For Alison and her friends. It is it is. The thing that really freaks me out is like that is a powerhouse of a song to sing. Like that is a song that requires some number of belting moments. Mm-hmm. So she doesn't sing it in the book, does she?
A little bit.
Oh, get out!
The I don't know the actual lyric, but is it Free Your Head?
Free Your Head, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the big belt moment.
Yeah, I can't sing it because of the copyright, but
Free Your
yes,
Head.
she does.
Oh my God, I'm so excited for listening to this chapter.
Oh yeah, no, she honestly, I think she sings every last lyric of everything.
Oh, she was having a good day.
She's making up. She heard me a couple of weeks ago. And she's like, I better deliver. She went onto my phone and re-recorded the whole audiobook. Are we ready to dive into the real meat of this chapter?
Yeah.
The linguine with white clam sauce. Because I have heard about this throughout the internets in the last couple of months.
Can't deal.
We had Addie, who was the grandmother, coming over. And there's so many things. So, firstly, the quote of I smelled the I can't even do it like Mariah, but I smelled the pasta softening in the boiling water. Is that a thing you can smell?
Yeah, that smell of like the starches like getting out. Okay. Like when it goes from stiff to bendy. That's a smell.
I can probably, well, I mean, that's a lot of going from stiff to bendy. There is often a smell when that happens. But I feel like
different smell.
I'm too busy making the sauce, and the sauce is more aromatic.
The sauce is that, well, that's the sea smell that she's talking about. The smell of the sea. That kind of clam liquor, they call it. I can't bear seafood.
Did you say clam liquor?
Clam liquor.
Oh
that was
God,
not my nickname in high school.
That's what Ashley's mum's nickname was in high school from last chapter. Ashley didn't know.
No, liquor as in Liquor. As in...
I don't understand the difference.
Okay, good.
Now we do have, they of course sit down. They sit down. Me, I am a clam liquor. Probably won't be the name.
How did this episode get so off track so quickly?
Because we're on it.
I put that tarp down. There's a mess here now.
So the section that is most important in the audiobook is that they sit down to have their linguine, and it says Addie doesn't pause to take breaths. We love Addie because she's just chat.
Yep.
But she whips out a can of parmesan and puts it all over. Are you ready for it? Mariah's elegant fresh linguine.
Oh my God!
And then she goes, "No!" I screamed in horror. But it's the elegant fresh linguine.
But also she's so hungry. She's only had one Jats cracker.
I know, the blood sugar's at an all-time low.
Oh,
and also the part which is like, where did it even come from?
I know. Who has a can of parmesan in their handbag? Like, she must have been a smelly lady. Like, canned parmesan is not okay to begin.
That's what I grew up on.
Yeah, I grew up on it too, but, you know, it's easily avoided.
Oh, yeah.
with a
just
block
the
and
horror.
a grater.
Like, I love that Mariah completely passes over her dad possibly being a mass murderer, but is all over the friggin' parmesan. Do not. And I love that she's like, that was the last time Addie joined them for Sunday dinner. In my head, that means Mariah killed Addie. She's like, yeah, and that was the last time we ever saw her. She killed her, cooked her, put her in the linguine.
Served parmesan on her coffin.
And then no one ate it. And I also just love that this story, of all the things, this story pertains to the meaning of Mariah Carey.
It does.
Like James Packer does not.
He probably put parmesan on a linguine one time.
That's true. Well, he didn't get to put parmesan on her linguine, so
No,
he probably had to put parmesan on her linguine. Now, of course, the next little story is the ice cream truck. And Mariah talking about borrowing 50 cents. Now, I think this whole thing got out of control because it was math.
No.
So Mariah's like, I'm overwhelmed. We're talking about numbers. I can't do this.
No, I think what happened here is this is Mariah learning the value of a word. Not the value of money, but the value of a word. Like, and, you know, when you're writing lyrics for songs, like, you don't have much room. Like, one word needs to mean exactly what it means, or you need a word that evokes a whole lot of stuff. But so it's about word choice, and she learned in a very, very painful way about the choice of a word.
Do you think that Alfred Roy Oprah-splained it to her by saying, do you want 50 cents or do you want to borrow 50 cents?
Maybe. No, I imagine
think
him
that
being very, very... do you want to borrow 50 cents?
I think the movie... We're going to need the movie to star Oprah as Alfred Roy.
Don't. See, I've already imagined Alfred Roy as... what's his face from Lovecraft Country?
That's your favourite thing at the moment.
It is. Michael K. Williams, who plays the dad in Lovecraft Country, he was Omar in The Wire. You wouldn't have watched that either. Why am I telling you?
I just feel like you're denying a black woman a job by taking it away from Oprah.
All right, Oprah can play the dad.
Thank you. Another part from this section, the quote that I actually wrote down was, at 7 years old, I wasn't earning any money yet. Like, I'm just glad that was clarified. I don't know if you guys know.
She didn't get paid for that gig in front of
I
Alison?
know.
Oh, that is... what was it meant to be, raising her profile? Like, what is that?
That's for your folio.
Your portfolio.
But I just thought it was so funny that she needed to point that out to us.
Well, it's, you need to know.
You need to know that. Now, Mariah, as we mentioned, Mariah does sing the frog song and the John Henry song.
Excellent.
Including the part that where she says, "No." She does that very low like her father. Yeah. And she mentions that basically her father was teaching her songs that were fun and made her laugh, while her mother... the way she says, "My mother, the opera singer, taught me scales." Like, not Patricia, not Mum. My mother, the opera singer. Trademark. Now, what really stood out to me personally was the description of sort of Alfred Roy's hobbies, going to the racetrack, going to the football and stuff, and how Mariah just found that completely boring.
Yes. I don't want to be at the racetrack.
Because cars going around in circles was not high entertainment. I don't think
name dropping though. Paul Newman was there.
Yeah. Now I do
turn into me.
She had her own top. I really related to this because growing up, my dad car racing and football, and I did not. And so I would take my Discman to the AFL and I would listen to the Spice Girls Spice throughout each quarter. And if I didn't have it with me, just if I didn't know we were going to the footy that day or whatever, I would just sing it in my head because I knew it back to front. And I could still do it at the football. So in my head, I'd look like I'm watching the football, but I was actually singing "Say You'll Be There" and doing all the high notes. That was your beautiful copyright-free version. Yeah. And so I really connected to that bit, and I'm like, oh, thank God those days are over. I can just say no now. I'm not going.
It's as a kid, there's you're not allowed to say no.
No.
You have to, I mean, I guess you do say no when you're a really little kid, and then you get in trouble for it. When you see little kids going, no! But then as an older kid, it's like, all right, I'll go. I'll spend time with Dad at the football, and then at the pub. And my dad didn't swear in front of my mum, but he swore at the football and at the pub. And I was like, who is this man who's saying the F-bomb? My at home.
My dad told off those football players like he told us off. It was rather terrifying. They stopped mid-game and went, I'm sorry. We also get a little bit of Mariah's love of Stevie Wonder, which was fun.
Yes.
And
weirdly related to a kid's book that she was reading.
Yes, and shapes and feeling and all that sort of stuff. But I just love that she was basically saying that Stevie Wonder is it for her as far as songwriters. But
it also felt like a bit of a name drop.
Oh yeah, she probably knows him. Hanging out. BFS. My BFF, Stevie Wonder, she said.
BFF.
In the audiobook. And of course, the comparisons to Quincy Jones. He won 7 Grammys that year. Why didn't you win 7 Grammys? Alfred said.
That really hurt me because when she was talking about, I'd come home with 2 A's, and it's like, where are the A pluses?
Yeah. And again, that's quite common. I feel like maybe not so much anymore. Like families like, oh my God, you got a C, well done. But because everyone's coddled now. But back in those days, I remember I was a fairly bright student, especially early on, like lots and lots of A's and A pluses.
Before the maths fell away.
Yeah. One of the other siblings maybe wasn't as strong, but they got good, if they got like a B, they'd get a reward. And I was like,
Right.
I didn't get a reward for acing everything.
You're expected to be good.
Oh my God. Well, exactly. And then if I got a B, imagine. I didn't get a B until I was in high school because I just gave up. I could have gotten the A, but I just couldn't be asked.
I know. I think year 9 was the one for me where I was like, I'm just going to only concentrate on the classes I like now. I'm done with this one. It's hard. And I finished my semester for the year, but I'm at uni at the moment. And I was talking to my tutor the other day and she's like, what? You don't have to go so hard, Adam. P's get degrees. P for pass, which is the lowest mark you can get. They still get a degree. Like when you get the piece of paper at the end of your university degree, it doesn't say Adam got HDs for everything. It just says degree.
It should, because I got a lot of HDs.
Bachelor of Communications or whatever I'm doing.
That's what it needs to be framed in gold.
I know. You need a better certificate if you get better marks.
Yes, I agree.
I know.
We also had a little bit more of artist Mariah, because of course we know Mariah as a drawer. She's the one who inspired our own artwork. Mm-hmm. And the story about making the drawing of the family, writing, they're weird, but they're okay.
Yeah, no,
and getting a little bit in trouble, which is very old school dad, I think.
Well, I think, yeah, but also we're talking about a man who has been made to feel like he doesn't belong in society on more than one occasion. So for her to use a word like weird, I guess for him it's like she's invoking ideas of racism, and she's
it's a trigger.
Setting up an idea of like, oh, I'm not normal. But the reality is none of us are normal. But when you're living with institutionalized persecution of difference, then I can understand being very, very freaked out when you realize that this child of yours is taking these things on board.
Yeah.
And her saying, oh, I must have heard it at school or something. And, she thought she was being hilarious. She wrote a joke. Stand up Mariah, Mariah Begins, her second
it's
career.
Like Batman. But Mariah.
Stand up Mariah Begins.
And then I love that she, in the book, just goes on to point out, well, it was weird, and my hair was weird, and the clothes were weird, and that house was weird, and weird. And here's a list of things that were weird. I was right, you were wrong. Yeah. And you're not here to defend yourself.
But yeah, I think she's maybe missing what he's trying to say to her in this instance. It's just like, yeah, we are all different, and celebrate the difference. But for him, it's obviously been a huge problem. Like, a couple of chapters ago, we had him having to walk in the house behind his wife because she's the white one. Yeah. This is a man who has been through a lot, and I feel like she's kind of just throwing away the weird thing. Is like, oh, he just didn't, get my funny joke. And it's like, no. He was trying to protect you from a future as someone that is constantly persecuted. And he's obviously, failed with his other 2 kids. He's only got one left to try and make her okay.
Lord.
Like, they're already on the bad side of the tracks. Like, they're gone.
I'm done with them. Hands washed. I will say there was a couple of normal Morgans in this audiobook. There was a couple of Morgan. But there was a couple of just Morgan. Okay.
Morgan. Well, when she was living with Morgan, and Alison, it seemed, was living with her dad.
Yeah.
But it's very strange. I don't, do you know the other thing that I loved in this chapter? Like, while we were talking about the Quincy Jones thing and the A+s, when she played Vision of Love to him, he goes, you sound like all 3 of the Pointer Sisters.
I'm so excited.
All 3.
Smushed together.
They were a big deal that year.
Absolutely. For that 3.5 months, they were a huge deal. No, of course, I do know who they are. She should have changed it to I Have a Vision of Pointer Sister. And that's all the love that my dad was giving to me. She does mention towards the end of the chapter of a few living arrangements, one above a deli and one above a nightclub. I am wondering if now these establishments are using that as a selling point. Like, see this linen cupboard? That was Mariah's bedroom.
I wonder if you could do a tour of the 13 places.
I hope so.
The Mariah 13. Just go around Long Island to various different places. And that one in Manhattan.
And because they've all got a wig with an ATM with a wig just downstairs.
At the front door.
That's the sign. But then, of course, as you mentioned, towards the end of the chapter, things sort of come to a close when she mentions that basically the Sunday started to drift apart as her and her father did. And eventually she just had to let them go.
It's a beautiful ending. Like, it's a really sweet, I know there are some difficult things for her in this chapter, and some difficult things for her dad, but overall it just feels like it's quite a nice picture of him. Like, like it's a warts and all picture of him, but given the first time we meet him, it's in a violent altercation with Morgan.
Yes.
Like, seeing the man who was trying to be her dad it's kind of sweet. Like, it's, all I've kind of known about him before now is from her lyrics, because I've not been a mad one for trying to interpret someone's life through a bunch of interviews, and as she said, you never get the whole picture. But through her lyrics, it's kind of like a bittersweet sort of half resentment, half reconciliation with her life. But this whole chapter is very, very kind of loving, and it shows his shortcomings, but it also shows the kind of place of persecution and violence that he came from. So it kind of gives us a sense that yes, he was a flawed individual, but the times he was trying to nurture her, he drove her really hard, but would she be the Mariah we know if she wasn't constantly trying to get that A+ on top of that?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I'm having
a moment. A moment. Should we get to some Mariah meatiness?
Yes, let's meaty up.
Mariah made it up. So last week, we discussed 2 chapters and we gave them a score, and I sent those out not that long ago. I am having one of those weeks where I thought I had more time. So we only had a little bit of time to get some of the Lamley votes. But for There Can Be Miracles, I gave that an 8, as did Fab. And the Lamley, at 100% of the very small group of votes, gave that an infinity.
Of course.
100% infinity. And then when Christmas comes, I gave that a little lower. That was a 6 for me.
Did I give that infinity?
You gave that infinity, as did the Lamley.
Yes, that deserved an infinity.
I should point out that there was only 2 people who voted. And one of them was probably you.
I did not vote in this one yet.
No, very good. But no, I will try to get that up a little earlier this week. So we got a little bit more time for the vote.
Not with the episode.
Well, I had been each day putting one up, but no, I just got a little lost this week. Now for the Father and the Son, what did you give that out of number 1 to infinity?
Look, I want to give it infinity because of that last line, but it is like, it does kind of go all over the place. We get weird bits of Alison. We get her singing.
White Rabbit?
Because I haven't heard the singing. I haven't listened to the audiobook. So I can only give it a meatiness of 8 on text alone.
Okay, fair enough. Yes, I do think this one was a bit of an experience.
Yes.
In the audiobook, so you'll be very excited to get to that.
I can't wait.
So for me,
I might start running again so I can listen to it.
Oh! I'm not sure the BPM's that high, but all right. I did feel that though it rambled at times, as you've mentioned, there was a lot of information in that early part. And kind of like you said about, being about the relationship with the dad, I did feel like we got a lot, even sort of reading between some of the lines. So I gave this one a 9.
You just gave it that because you bonded over the nomads.
And the crown. If I recognise it, it's too similar. You'll have to, in editing, just auto-tune it to some other key or something.
I can do that.
So, of course, this week, we've only got the one chapter, so I will put up the vote, what do you call it? The poll.
The poll.
On the Twitters. I'm not sure how to do it anywhere else. I've tried it on Instagram, but it's like yes and no answers. I'm like, well, that doesn't help.
No, that doesn't help at all.
What do you rate it from number 1 to infinity? Yes.
1 or infinity.
Now, I think that brings us to the remix. Is there anything that if you were Little Mariah or indeed someone else that you would have done differently this week?
Can I remix my own life to be like Mariah from this chapter?
If you know what, it's the remix. You can do whatever you want.
Okay, so my remix is I want to learn to eat one Jets cracker at a time. Or Ritz cracker.
I was going to say, what are you talking about?
Just slowly, just nibbling around the edge and just like if I could learn to eat slowly, that would be half my battle.
Maybe you need to put on Kylie's Slow when you eat the Ritz cracker.
It wouldn't help me. I am all in the gob at once. I
have heard that. That was your other nickname in high school.
That was. But it is like, it takes 20 minutes from the signal from your stomach to get to your brain to go, yeah, I'm full.
I don't even have that.
I've eaten.
When you have an eating disorder, you don't get that.
Oh, you don't get that? No. I just keep eating, and then I get that signal. I'm like, oh, well, it's a bit late now. I've had the whole thing.
The whole packet of Ritz crackers.
And I'm making my way through another one.
Let me get the parmesan.
Oh, don't.
So my remix is that, and this may not have been possible, of course, but if it was me and I was that devastated over the parmesan incident, I probably would have asked Dad to possibly replate some linguine had there been any leftovers, which there may not have been. But if there were, I'd say, look, I'm probably not going to eat it, and I've not eaten for 6 months because I've been here. The one Ritz cracker was not enough. Could I get a little of that? Or you know what? If Addie wants the parmesan so bad, she can have mine. Maybe she's not put the parmesan on hers yet.
Yeah.
But we'll never know. I can't know officially, but that's what I would have tried to do anyway.
No,
if I was Little Mariah.
I'm pretty sure Addie's just sprinkling parmesan on everything.
Which does bring us to Can Take That Away, Mariah's lesson. Can take that away. Oh, Mariah's lesson. What do you feel? I think we've probably learned the same lesson based on the focus of this chapter.
Really? What's your lesson?
My lesson is to never put parmesan on elegant fresh linguine. And if it does happen, you have to kill your grandma. That is the lesson I took from this chapter.
I learned a different lesson, I think.
I don't know how. That was like
because
I
didn't hear it. I just read it. For me,
when you hear it, wait.
I can't wait to be overwhelmed with linguine. My lesson that I have taken away, that I can take away, is that you should never ask to borrow something that you are never going to return.
Mm-hmm. Good lesson.
The word borrow means there is a return in the future. And it is, like, I thought this was just an Australian thing. Oh, can I borrow that? Meaning, I'm taking this from you and you are never going to see it again.
Can I borrow some milk?
And yeah, I'm totally on Alfred Roy's side when it comes to the meaning of the word borrow. It needs to be nailed down.
Do you think that's the title of his memoir?
Yeah.
Me, I am the meaning of the word borrow.
So that's what I'm taking away. Words have power. Words have meaning.
Oh, delightful. What about any I don't know hers? I certainly have one. Do you have one?
I don't know Parmesan Granny Addie.
Okay, that's a good name. Mine's a little more serious. Mine is Addie Parmesan Nazi. Much like Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Addie Parmesan Nazi.
Which is a show I would watch. Just quietly.
I would watch the shit out of that. Oh yeah, there's only one person we don't want to know this week, and it is entirely
100%.
the woman who destroyed the linguine.
Because she doesn't even call her, grandma or nana or nanny or anything of that nature. It's just Addie. Morgan. Addie the Parmesan Nazi.
Do you think Addie's short for Adelaide?
Maybe it's short for Addison.
Oh, okay.
And Addison. I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm just assuming that Mariah likes to rhyme.
Maybe.
And that they preemptively named people that. So that when she was born, she'd be happy.
Or that's just what she remembers and that's not their real names.
Yeah, probably.
She's a little girl.
I don't know. Addie, fuck. She was the Parmesan Nazi. What else do you want to know?
She had it in her handbag and she would whip it out at any moment.
But I think that does bring us towards the end. Are we ready for a little almost time?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the podcast, baby. Almost there, almost home. You could probably say, but you won't because of copyright. That's a no. So next Mariah Monday, we will be covering 2 chapters, Colouring Outside the Lines, and you'll be listening to audiobook, so I don't know exactly how we're going to pronounce this yet, whether it's Hodel?
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 I think it's Hodel. I'm guessing it's maybe hotel, but then there's some other, I don't know.
Hotel with a D.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best kind, isn't it?
They're the ones you stay at when you're having a special date.
Yeah.
You found on the internet.
But I would love it if the Lamley listening would give us a little review on the iTunes, because it does mean if there's enough reviews, they show up and all of the thingies that happen on the internets show us. I'm illustrating it with my hands currently.
And it's beautiful.
They mean that we'll show up more, so more Lamley like you will find our little podcast.
Yes, any reviews we appreciate, even the bad ones. Like seriously, even the bad. Like just tell us we're terrible. I'm happy to. Yeah. I'm happy to wear it.
I'm nervous because I have called someone a Parmesan Nazi, so I might be cancelled. But yes, I think that wraps us up for this week. Any leftovers? What are you feeling? Sorry, I don't know leftovers.
I don't know her. I really loved it this week, and again, that's just from reading it, and it obviously sounds like it's going to be a fun audiobook chapter. So you're going to be doing the reading only next week, and I'm going to get to experience the joy.
Imagine if she doesn't sing anything.
Hodel. Well, no, I'll get to hear all the other singing from before.
So yes, 2 chapters next week. We're very excited. As we dig further, I just get more and more into the meatiness that is the meaning of Mariah.
And I should tell you, we are only 8% of the way through the book, according to Kindle. We're going to be doing this podcast forever.
Forever and ever. And I'm okay with that.
I'm more than okay with that. All right. Well,
we've already got Mariah Ian. We've got Mariah Ian. We've got the Parmesan Nazi. We've got Morgan.
And
imagine who else we'll get.
Oh, I cannot wait. I'm sure Alison is going to have a special name at some point.
Or she'll just start not saying the name. It'll just be blank. Morgan and went to the shop.
Morgan and the other one.
Maybe that's what the other sister is about. It's Mariah's family.
Now, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have to make a decision about what we do about the Christmas special. Are we going to have a watch-along?
Oh, yeah.
There'll have to be a bonus episode, a special bonus Christmas special episode. Because it will be full of festive joy.
Oh, I can't. Yes, I'm sure we will do something. How to work it out with all of the copyright and whatnot. It may be similar to our what did we call it? The rarities review. That we did. something along those lines. We'll see. We'll see what strikes us.
But yes, there is no doubt a bonus episode forthcoming with some Christmas specialness.
And even possibly the Zane Lowe, depending how juicy that gets.
Oh, yeah. Although we don't want to... I am worried about interviews. I don't want to spoil anything that's coming in the book.
I just skip ahead when things get too or I forget. I'm so forgetful. I'm like J-Lo.
You don't know me.
No, wait, no, Mariah's forgetful. Oh, I get so confused. I don't know me.